Hello and welcome back to Adventures with Mary. I'm Mary and this is Bella. I do the yapping, Bella brings the vibes. Bella, how are you today? Do you have anything to share with the fans? And this is Willow. Can you say hello? I started this channel in 2022, filming 100 videos in 100 consecutive days before I took a 2-year break from creating content on YouTube. This year in 2025, I'm slowly focusing on getting back into creating consistent content. How I've chosen to do that is by filming long-form content once a month, talking about things like health, relationships, travel and entertainment, finances, and goals or milestones, and how those topics relate to me as a girl navigating her mid to late 20s. If that's something that interests you, like this video, subscribe, join the journey. I would love to have you. I upload every first Monday of the month, but you can also click the notification bell to get notified every time I upload a video. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. So excited to have you here. Let's jump right in. Let's talk about August. This month was not as magical as I expected it to be. I think I tend to put a lot of pressure or a lot of expectation on August to be this month that's like really full of magic. There's something about the last full month of summer. Taylor Swift wrote a song about it. It's just full of glittery magic. I didn't really feel like that this year. I held a lot of expectation for August this year, but I felt like it was a little bit mid, a little bit status quo, didn't quite live up to the expectation and joy that I was holding for it. However, today is August 26th, and as of a few hours ago, Taylor Swift announced that she's engaged, which is insane and crazy, and obviously I'm gonna talk about it. If you don't know, I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan. She announced a new album this month, absolutely insane, so much going on in the Swiftie universe. To be honest, I never thought we would get a Taylor Swift relationship announcement. I thought if she was gonna get married, if she's gonna get engaged, we would never hear about it. I'm so happy for her getting engaged in this month of August. The song August is from her album Folklore, which she very much marketed as having a lot of fictional stories in it, but I think that the album Folklore was a lot more autobiographical than... Girl, I'm trying to talk here. I think that her album Folklore was a lot more autobiographical than she let on. At the time, she was in a relationship with Joe Alwyn, but I think a lot of the songs, especially the August, Betty, Cardigan triangle, have a lot of themes relating back to her relationship with Maddie Healy. And I think for me, as someone who may or may not have a bit of a parasocial relationship with Taylor Swift, I think taking this next step in her relationship can have a lot of themes of beginning again. I'm really happy for her. I hope it all works out. But obviously we were gonna touch on that. Our first topic is health, and I wanted to talk a little bit about emotional health, a little bit about physical. I feel like my diet has kind of been all over the place. I've been eating a lot of white bread, a lot of carb-heavy foods, and that's not really my normal diet. I moved about 2 months ago. I'm still kind of getting settled into my new space, finding my new routines, and somehow that's kind of coming out in like the food that I'm eating. I'm really hoping to get to more of like a clean eating diet, focusing on getting back to like maybe eating salads for lunch, something like that. I've also been feeling kind of low energy. I've been having a really active girl summer and having a lot of like outside active routines, but I have barely been in the gym all summer. And something that I notice about myself is that the more I move, the more energy I have, and the less I move, the less energy I have. On those nights when I'm just like really feeling lethargic and feel like I just have zero energy, those are the nights that I find that I have to push through and be like, get out of the house, go to the gym. Otherwise, I'll just be in this horrible spiral of no movement equals less energy equals less movement. So I'm trying to get back into the gym, get back into that healthy lifestyle. I've also been feeling very disconnected emotionally. I saw a few friends this month that I hadn't seen in a few years, some friends that I hadn't seen in a few months. You know, whenever Willow is the star of the show tonight, Willow. Whenever you see a friend you haven't seen in a while, you know, they always ask like, oh, how are you? And you know, you have the status quo answer, I'm good, how are you? And I am, okay, listen, this is not working out. Can you get down? Go play with your sister. There's always that status quo answer of like, oh, I'm good, how are you? And I am doing really good, but I just feel very disconnected from myself. There are usually 3 things that I have to really take care of my emotional health, and that's yoga, therapy, and journaling. And I've been finding that I'm like barely journaling at all. I have been kind of steering away from having any introspection, and it's not helping my feelings of disconnection at all. And I would like to hopefully change that in the coming weeks. We created a budget. I've talked so many times on this channel about budgeting and how I'm trying to pay off my credit card this year. The official goal is August 1st, 2026, pay off my credit card and have $10,000 saved. And to be honest, that is a completely delusional goal, like 100% delusional. My notes say, so that goal might be unattainable, but I do not care. I agree with the notes. I do not care. I'm setting goals high, that way I have something to like really work towards, and I would rather like fail at that goal and still be somewhere than just not have any goals at all. I'm still adding clients to my babysitting base. However, the babysitting gigs have been few and far between recently. So I'm hoping that once the school year starts, things will pick up and we can really make some good headway on those goals. If you watched July's video, you'll remember how I said I'm taking a break from dating in August. However, I had a date with a boy from speed dating that I was not romantically interested in, but we did go on that date. It was really good. We went and got breakfast on a Sunday morning and it was really nice. Great conversation. I've been really enjoying going on first dates and just having like that really deep and fulfilling conversation with a new person. He didn't pay for me, which was so interesting because as I've talked before on here, I'm really trying to find out what kind of relationship dynamic I want. And as I was driving to this date, I'm like, if he pays, how am I supposed to sit there and be like, yes, I'm on this date with you, but I actually am not interested in you at all? I was kind of worried about that, but I think that was the first time I'd ever been on a first date where the guy didn't pay, and I was really okay with that new experience. I essentially went on this date with him because it seemed like he had a good friend group, and I'm always in the market for friends. We talked last month about how I was kind of getting out of a situationship, trying to recenter and refocus on what I want in a relationship. Over the last few months, I've learned how to not take dating so seriously. I grew up in a dating for marriage culture, and while I think that can be a really good goal to have, I think it can also put a lot of unnecessary pressure on the early stages of getting to know someone. I've learned how to take the pressure off of the initial stages of dating and really focus not on the person in front of me and how they would fit into a marriage relationship, but more sitting in front of another human being and being like, do I like them enough to go on a second date with them? I also think that the dating for marriage mentality can take away a lot of potential. I like to say that dating is kind of like playing the lottery. If you don't play, you're not gonna win. So if you play a lot, you increase your odds of winning. Dating with the intention of a second date really opens up your opportunity to meet new people, to have new experiences, and it can put you on both sides of the playing field. There's a guy I went on a date with last summer. He drove 45 minutes out here, paid for the date, opened the doors, did all the things, really sweet. And we like talked about a second date, but it never happened and he kind of ghosted me. And then this year I went on a date with a guy from speed dating and I did the same thing to him, although it was unintentional. I tend to have a no ghosting policy, but I did ghost this man and I regret it. However, we went on a date and it was very nice. I felt no romantic feelings, although I know sometimes you will go on dates with people and not feel romantic feelings the first date. And we had a great 2-3 hour conversation and then we walked around the city afterwards. He asked if I would like to go out again. I said yes. And then I didn't like him enough for it to happen. And I was really busy in my friend's wedding and moving and all these different things. And I kind of ended up ghosting him. So I think that taking that pressure off of dating for marriage and instead dating with the intention of that I see myself on a second date with this person takes off a lot of that pressure, puts you on both sides of the playing field. You meet a lot more people that way. And that's something that I've just been trying to do. This month I took 2 trips. One was solo, one was for a friend's wedding. I went to Boston for the weekend. There was a concert I was going to see about an hour away from Boston. I drove 5 hours to Boston and I got there and I went to the beach and I was like, you know what? I'm not getting back in the car for 2 hours round trip today. I'm staying here. So I stayed in Boston. I had the best time in Boston. It was incredible. Boston is truly that girl. Like, everyone's walking around in their nice little collegiate outfits. We love to see it though. I was just a couple of subway stops outside of downtown Boston, and I took the subway in. It was my first time being on the Boston subway in 3 years. And I got off on this one subway stop, and I got out, walked up the stairs, and I walked out the front doors, and I realized the last time I was at this subway stop, I was having the world's biggest crash out over a man. And I went to Boston to get the heck away for a minute, get out of my surroundings, escape from everything. And I walked out, and I could not believe that it had been 3 years. I could almost see the ghost of my past self walking away, and I had gone to the 7-Eleven across the street, and I grabbed some water. It was raining out when I was there the last time. I was crying. I was a royal disaster. I was really happy to realize my life has come so far in 3 years. Anyway, I also went to Kansas for my friend's wedding. I saw some friends I hadn't seen in a few years. 3 of my friends had babies, so I got to meet all their new babies. It was such a lovely trip. Seeing so many good people, and just a quick little weekend summer trip. I really enjoyed it. In terms of entertainment, I went to the Jonas Brothers Greetings from Your Hometown tour. It was my second time seeing the Jonas Brothers in concert. I've been reading The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood on audiobook on YouTube. I watched Interstellar and the first Hunger Games, both on a plane when I was going out to Kansas. I was really not a big fan of the first Hunger Games. I started the second one, it seemed a little bit better, but I also just read the books on audiobook at the end of last year, I think. And I felt the first Hunger Games was everything was very on the nose. I felt the acting wasn't the best. It was very 2010s-esque. I was just not impressed with the film. I felt there wasn't a lot of symbolism in the shots. As someone who enjoys creating visual content, I was able to kind of see how the movie was created and look at some pieces that maybe I would not want in my own videos. I rewatched season 1 of Shiny Happy People, and I'm about halfway through season 2. I watched the first season when it came out, I think in 2023. The second season just came out, so I rewatched the first season. I've been doing a lot of educating myself on the topic of evangelical Christianity. I think that docuseries was really well done, and it was also really good to kind of revisit it and rewatch it. I want to try to focus on waking up early in the morning and having a little journal session before work. Although I am horrible when it comes to waking up early in the morning. So I might need to just settle for journaling every day. I really want to focus on building that reconnection with myself. I'm working on finding my identity. Something I've been working on somewhat extensively in therapy is finding out what I want. And this is the first time in my life where I've really allowed myself the space to kind of search for and find my own identity and discover what do I want and who am I. Another goal I have for the month of September and beyond is church hopping. If you're unfamiliar, the concept of church hopping is attending one church after another without committing to a single congregation for an extended period, often due to personal preferences for leadership, worship style, or specific programs. It can sometimes be viewed negatively because it hinders deeper spiritual growth and community, but it can also be a temporary, legitimate strategy for finding a church that aligns with one's needs and preferences, especially when relocating or seeking a healthy spiritual environment. Personally, I was raised as a traditional Roman Catholic, attending the Latin Mass every Sunday. The fabric of my life was woven by the thread of religion. It was a huge part of my identity for the majority of my life. Over the last couple of years, as I've worked through healing a lot of unrelated childhood trauma and kind of questioning and unpacking, deconstructing and rebuilding basic systems like family, home, belonging, love, I eventually started deconstructing my beliefs in a lot of the truth claims made by religion. In January of this year, I left the church that I had attended my entire life. And when you leave a community or an organization that has shaped who you are, I've found that there's a little bit of an identity crisis that comes with that. This framework that was ingrained in you and it shaped who you were is no longer something you subscribe to, and you're kind of left with unknowingness of who you are outside of this set of rules. This is obviously a bigger topic that will likely explore over the next few episodes of the monthly recaps. However, as I started questioning a lot of these truth claims, I felt like I came up with more questions than I had answers for. At this current point in my faith journey or faith crisis or whatever you want to call it, I don't think I'm in any position to join a church because there would be a lot of truth claims I would have to believe in that I don't at this point in my life. One of my biggest goals for the church hopping journey is to experience other churches and other people of faith and to kind of have more of a well-rounded idea of what religion looks like. I guess kind of how I look at it is if I dated one person and we ended up breaking up because we were incompatible, I would not say, well, I'm not going to ever date anyone again. I'm not ever going to get married because this one relationship didn't work out. While the church I was raised in is not a church I think I can continue to have part of my adult life going forward. Just because the relationship with one church didn't work out for me doesn't mean that no relationship will. I think that there's a lot to gain from approaching the world and religion and belief systems with curiosity and wonder. So over the next few months, we'll be experiencing new churches, seeing where that takes us, and I'm excited to see what I find. I think that's all I have to say for this month. It's been a good month. We have a lot to look forward to. Life is just barreling on 1 month at a time. Bella and I are vibing and thriving, aren't we, Bella? She's not gonna come over here, so I'm not gonna ask her to. On that note, I think that's all I have to say for this month. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming back every month. If you have anything to say, leave it in the comments. And if you're interested in this type of content, feel free to subscribe. Would love to see you around here more often. I guess I'll see you next month. Keep being awesome. Love you. That's all I would like to say on that matter. I don't even know if I want to go down that road. What do I want and who am I? How many ways am I gonna say that? We're gonna cut all of that.